Mors tua vita mea. Your death allows me to live. No wonders then if we live in a dominance culture. We live in an aggressive society. Capitalism prays all the gifts from every person and educates us, forms us, trains us to think in terms of exchange rather than gift. Trains us to look at relationships in terms of use and utility, forgetting our tender humanity, our feelings, and this brings lack of empathy and lack of sensitivity. We live in a pyramidal society, in a pyramid society with privileges for the few who are on top of the pyramid. And when I say privileges, I don't mean real privileges, but just fake ones, just illusions. And I will say you why in a while. For some advantages for those who are on top of the pyramid, there are a lot of sacrifices by those who are at the base of this pyramid. This scheme raises envy and kills gratitude. Envy and gratitude are emotions, feelings very interrelated. Therefore, how can I transform envy into gratitude?
Hi, I am Maya Vassallo di Florio. In this space, I answer the most common questions about personal blooming and empowerment. Touching philosophical, spiritual, cultural, and social themes, I support you in making the difference in the world. I'm here to guide you blooming in the marvelous creature you are, one petal at a time.
Welcome to this new Aphrodisia episode. I promised you that during the month of February I would have talked about love, relationship and sex. Well, this episode is about love and relationship, and in some kind it also affects sex. But I will explore today with you seeing how envy can affect our social and individual life and relationships, and how can we transform it into gratitude. I will start in a while, but before I start, I want to cuddle the sponsor of this episode, which is the training Priestess of the Sea, Priestess of Aphrodite and Sacred Sexuality, this amazing course cited also by Oxford University, and I'm very proud of this. This is the training I created and on which are based my researches about Goddess Aphrodite and Patriarchates of the past and of the present. And it's one of the best trainings ever, and definitely the best training if you want to become a priest or priestess of Aphrodite and Sacred Sexuality. And this special training has opened for enrolling at a special offering, a special price for very few days, few hours left. So if you want to know more and grab this special opportunity to attend this training, you can click on the link in the description and know more about the Priestess training, Priestess of Aphrodite and Sacred Sexuality and Priestess of the Sea. Well, let's get into today's theme. We live in a pyramid society, in a dominance society, a society based on competition. And this has totally wasted social relationships. This has produced a crisis in relationships. And the effects, the symptoms are loneliness, separation, the sense of isolation, disconnection, misunderstandings, fear of scarcities, up to physical illnesses, all because the resources are not equally distributed, or better, not distributed according to each one's needs. Because in matriarchies and in the model of existence that I promote through Aphroditic philosophy and spirituality, it's not about giving everyone the same things, because not everyone needs the same things. Maybe I need carrots, another person needs fennels, just to use a metaphor, an example. But it's about caring about everyone's needs and honoring everyone's needs. Envy is nourished on the pyramidal scheme. Envy is a human feeling and human emotion, but in time it has become an obsession, an illness, a social illness, which of course has different shades according to various cultures in which these feeling is experienced. So every nation has specific characteristics of envy and specific levels of envy, also depending on the level of wellness, the level of well-being of each person and the whole of the society. Of course, there will be more of these toxic shades of envy in societies in which there is scarcity. So I'm Italian, I can give you the example of Italy, but from whenever you're listening this Aphrodisia episode, you can start asking yourself and start analyzing what are the characteristics of people living in your country, according to the organization, the social and cultural structure of your country. Because I can grant you that the way of looking at things that each person has is influenced by the context, always. But it's also true that we can swap things and we have an influence on the collective. But today I want to give you the example of Italy so you can decline and understand how is envy experienced mainly, roughly, into your country, and see how you can start changing from yourself, from the bottom, giving people the good example. In Italy, we are famous for our being welcoming people, very physical, very solar, shining, always smiling, always willing to help other people, very generous. And this is true. This is our inner nature. We are very hot, warm people, kind people. We love being a community. But there is a huge contradiction, because there is another strength that pulls us away from this natural tendency we have and puts us one against the other and prevents us from being a cohesive group and a real community. Because each one, also due to the Christian church, is closed in the nucleus of the family, and everyone lives in the fear of scarcity. Everyone feels the need to protect from the enemy. The other people are seen as enemies sometimes, as somebody that wants to undermine you, your life, your family. And there is an anthropological and historical explanation for this, because Italy has always been a paradise. We have lots of resources, amazing food, amazing landscapes. So Italy has always been a paradise for many, many people all around the world. That's why we were repeatedly invaded. So in our cells, somehow we Italians bring the memory of all these attacks. We carry the story in our DNA somehow, in our genetics and epigenetics. We could say we have a national karma of fear. And this is very contradictory, because we would naturally have a tendency towards openness. We are very open people. From cellular biology, we know that the more a cell is relaxed, the more it will be free to invest energies into growing, expanding. The more a cell is closed and feels the need to protect, the more all the efforts will be invested into being closed, protected, shielded. And in this case, there is no space and no energy for growth and expansion. The same with every human being and every community. That's what envy does. Envy is alimented by the fear of scarcity lack of self-love, scarcity of resources, scarcity of possibilities, scarcities of hope, trust, faith. Therefore, all the efforts will be into defending, running, or attacking other people, towards which envy is addressed. Why do we live in a society in which envy is so average, is so common? Listen to me very carefully. This kind of social model, which is toxic, derives from the original envy for the mothers, for women in generally, but especially for mothers. The envy for the vagina and the generative capacity of women, the envy of the good breast. So the truth is that we have not envy of the penis. People have envy for the good breast of mothers. This envy undermines gratitude. I will explain better why do I affirm that. Patriarchy was born from envy towards mothers, towards the generative powers of mothers. And it was brought, according to Maria Gimbuta's theory, Kurgan theory, patriarchy was brought in various waves of invasions from Siberia, from the cold regions where life was very hard, very difficult, and there was a lot of scarcity. So people lived in fear and isolation. They didn't learn how to cooperate. They had to focus each one on themselves. And the Latin way of saying, mors tua, vita mea, was real. It was real there. Each one had to think about himself or herself. There was no time and no mental structure for cooperation there, because life was very, very hard. But these models of existence were brought in various waves into ancient Europe in the last 5,000 years. Well, now I want to say that each people experiences the wound of separation from the mother. From the very moment we are born, we cut the umbilical cord, we detach from the nourishing breast of the mother, and little by little it's various doors of separation that we go through. So we go through various initiations. It can be painful somehow, but the separation can be healed through love and through finding other ways of nourishment, finding new ways to connect. The language, for example, was born to tolerate the separation. Melanie Klein, the great psychologist, Melanie Klein, in her remarkable book, Envy and Gratitude, she distinguishes three emotions, feelings that literally kill gratitude. The first one is jealousy, which can articulate in other three shades. Exclusivity. So I want to be the only one for you. I want to be the only child. The other shade of jealousy is competition. I want to be the best. And the third shade of jealousy is possess. I want this or this person even to be mine and to be just for me. Whenever I want, at any time I want, at my conditions. Then we have the second emotion feeling, which is avidity, which articulates into fear of scarcity, then need to accumulate, and then need to pray, to take without permission, as if it was due. The third emotion feeling is envy. Envy contains all the shades of jealousy, all the shades of avidity that I've just said. Plus, listen carefully to this, plus the deliberate will to destroy the other person towards which envy is addressed. It's the animal will to put excrements, the rubbish of the self, into the other person. The envy person suffers from other people's happiness. and for other people's success. Because the envious person doesn't think he or she is able to reach that happiness, that success. So this gives life to a series of destructive impulses and a mechanism in which the other person invests all the efforts into destroying somebody else rather than doing something to improve, to grow, to expand. So I'm not saying that we have to be comprehensive at any cost with the envious person. I'm just saying it's a cultural problem and that we can change it through example, through education, practicing compassion, practicing gratitude. So the answer is practicing gratitude, loyalty, and support and mutual care as a political act of revolution, especially starting being loyal towards women, because we women have been really devastated by this, because we were the ones who did sacredness, who acted the sacred, who took care of the people, of the communities, of the resources. We were the ones who distributed the resources. We were the ones who took care of the social, spiritual, and material life of the communities. We were the ones who knew. We were the guardians of the ancient knowledges. And that's why we've been parted one against the other into a competition scheme which is infinite. So we can change this envy as a social illness by practicing gratitude, loyalty, and by supporting each other's success, starting being happy for each other's success, because the success of one is the success of many, because each one carries everyone else with her or with him, because this is true also for men. I'm not saying that we have to justify any abusive behavior. Gratitude is always healthy, but it has to be separated from choices and it has to be contextualized. And gratitude doesn't mean blackmail. I want to give you an example. One of my students, a week ago, during a private session on sacred sexuality, she told me she would like to be free in lovemaking. And I asked her, what prevents you from being more freer in lovemaking? And she told me, well, there are my parents. I live in a house which is not totally parted from my parents' house. And so sometimes they come into my house without permission, sometimes even in the bedroom where I sleep and make love with my partner. And I asked her, so why do they do so? Can't you just raise a wall or in the meanwhile use the key? And she told me, well, they help me economically. Okay, I said. So the fact that they help you, it means that they have power over your life. So this was a good question that started for her a process of change, because being grateful for something doesn't mean giving the other person to which we feel grateful the right to control our life. So we can be grateful, not even necessarily by giving something back. This is not gift. This is not gift economy. We can just say thank you sometimes. When we feel that we have to respond by giving something back, this is not gift economy, as Genevieve Vaughan, the theorist of gift economy, writes in her remarkable books. No, this is not gift economy. This is blackmail. This is exchange. Well, we can give something, but for the pleasure of giving something, not as an exchange. And never, ever we have to sacrifice our freedom and our human rights of feeling free to have a space for lovemaking and intimate space just because we are economically helped. So gratitude is not acceptance of other people's requests. Gratitude is not giving something back. Gratitude is not giving something in exchange. And if we experience gratitude as a weight, because we don't want to feel grateful towards somebody, then maybe we can ask ourselves, why am I not able to receive? This is interesting. This is an interesting question, because sometimes we always want to be in credit towards somebody, because when we feel in debt, we feel we are in the power of the other person. So as I said before, it's stepping back from this being in credit or being in debt. It's something else. It's stepping into the gift. Gratitude doesn't mean even to continue staying in a toxic relationship, putting all the efforts of our psyche, of our emotions and energy into finding gratitude towards somebody that is abusive towards us. That is New Age, and that's not Aphroditic philosophy and spirituality, definitely. So if we are in a toxic relationship, ban any New Age toxic way of thinking that we have to be grateful towards the people, that we have to be grateful towards somebody that is abusive towards us or is mean towards us. No gratitude. The person who is abusive, and we have to respect ourselves going away from that person and stepping away from those behaviors, from undergoing those toxic behaviors. So you don't have to thank somebody who abused you in order to burn the karma. Absolutely. Just denounce it to the police in case and go away and focus on your well-being. Focus on gratitude towards yourself, gratitude towards the people who help you, who love you. That's the healthy gratitude. In the other case, it's not gratitude, it's a New Age toxic belief that I wouldn't even call gratitude. It's just craziness. So, in synthesis, gratitude is the feeling we can experience towards somebody who brings a gift into our life, who brings value somehow. It can be a child that smiles at us. It can be a flower, another creature, a butterfly that flies on our hand. It can be a teacher. It can be a spiritual mother. It can be a book. It can be ourselves. It can be life. It can be Aphrodite. Gratitude is an amazing feeling that allows us to heal. So how can we deal with other people's envy and with our own envy? Yes, because every one of us is both the envious and the envied. First step, accepting that each one of us is envious. It's a human emotion. The difference is how we choose to act when we understand we are envious. This makes a huge difference. Will you be ruled by envy or will you transform it? By accepting we all are envious and not just envied, we can heal ourselves and give a good example if, as I said, we practice gratitude instead and loyalty and support, mutual support as a political act, we can enact and manifest a revolution. Even on a global level, there are collectives which are envious. Entire nations are envious of richer nations because nations are made of human beings. So we live in a wounded collective, and that's the reason why we make war. But let's concentrate more on lovemaking. Second point, how can we get out of this toxic pattern? We have to take responsibility individually and start an individual work on decoding our needs, our personal needs, our unsatisfied needs, which, if are suppressed, they become demons like envy, that can rule our lives. So we can heal by quenching the thirst for love with a lot of compassion towards ourselves and other people who feel envy. But of course, we don't already live in a matriarchal society, in an Aphroditic society. So in the meanwhile, we have to protect ourselves because we are also vulnerable. We might be attacked by people who are not healed yet. So we have to mother ourselves and go away from the toxic behavior while we do this inner work. And we give the good example. So it doesn't mean to undergo toxic behavior, just mean to be compassionate and give the good example and go away from toxic contexts. This was the third point. The fourth point is putting safe boundaries and clearly learning how to communicate these needs. Starting a virtuous circle so everyone else, especially young people, our children, they will see how to take care, how to honor the needs, and how to honor and decode everyone else's needs. That's why in matriarchies, there are no needs to set boundaries, not in the cities, nor even between people, because everyone is educated to respect the other needs. So there won't be people abusing other one. So there won't be abusive behaviors just because everyone will be clear about her or his own needs. And everyone will have clear in mind what are the other people's needs. So there is a good balance between the I and the other. And there is no need of walls, simply. That's what we aim at. So just by communicating our needs and desires, we will be able to do the quantum leap that was theorized by Mary Daly, the amazing theologist Mary Daly. So each one of us can be the spark to activate other people's fire and other people's inner love, other people's gratitude. So I want to propose you a challenge from today. Just try these steps. Try to really focus on your needs and desires and on other people's needs and desires, and practice gratitude, compassion and love, mutual support and loyalty towards other people. Especially if we are women, we really can make the revolution. If we practice love and compassion and gratitude as a political act. So each day, tell the women you admire, for whatever reason, tell them. Tell them. Well, I hope this Aphrodisia's episode has been useful for you. I remember you that if you want to go deeper into the studies and the practice of Aphroditic philosophy and spirituality and change your life and change the world also with sacredness and pleasure and sexiness, you will see in the description the link to the training, the amazing life-changing training, Priestess of the Sea, Priestess of Aphrodite and Sacred Sexuality, which is for men, women, people of every gender, and which will be available at a special offering and an amazingly low price for a few hours. So seize this opportunity, and I hope to see you to the other side of the veil. And as always, if you want to support this Aphrodisia episode, you can leave 5 stars if you are listening the podcast, a written feedback if you're listening from YouTube, and I will personally read and respond. And share these contents with other people out there, because there are many people who will benefit from these contents, knowing there is an Aphroditic way of living and that they're not alone. We are here. We are more and more every day. and subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to receive a notification anytime a new episode is born. As always, meet you on next Thursday. Bye bye.